chapter 35. And God said unto Yaakov, Arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar unto God, who appeared unto you when you didst flee from the face of Esau your brother. Then Yaakov said unto his household, and to all that were with him, Put away the strange gods that are among you, and purify yourselves, and change your garments, and let us arise and go up to Bethel, and I will make there an altar unto God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and was with me in the way which I went. And they gave unto Yaakov all the foreign gods which were in their hand, and the rings which were in their ears, and Yaakov hid them under the terebinth which was by Shechem. And they journeyed, and a terror of God was upon the cities that were round about them, and they did not pursue after the sons of Yaakov. So Yaakov came to Luz, which is in the land of Canaan, the same as Bethel, he and all the people that were with him, and he built there an altar, and called the place El Bethel, because there was God revealed unto him, when he fled from the face of his brother. And Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried below Bethel, under the oak, and the name of it was called Elon Bakuth. And God appeared unto Yaakov again, when he came from Padan Aram, and blessed him. And God said unto him, Your name is Yaakov. Your name shall not be called any more Yaakov, but Israel shall be your name. And he called his name Israel. And God said unto him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of you, and the kings shall come out of your loins. And the land which I gave unto Abraham and Ishmael, to you will I give it, and to your seed after you will I give the land. And God went up from him in the place where he spoke with him. And Yaakov set up a pillar in the place where he spoke with him, a pillar of stone, and he poured out a drink offering thereon, and poured oil thereon. And Yaakov called the name of the place where God spoke with him, Bethel. And they journeyed from Bethel, and there was still some way to come to Ephrath. And Rachel travailed, as she had hard labor, and it came to pass, when she was in hard labor, that the midwife said unto her, Fear not, for this also is a son for you. And it came to pass, as her soul was in departing, for she died, that she called his name Benoni, but his father called him Ben-Amin. And Rachel died, and was buried in the way to Ephrath, the same is Beth-Lechem. And Yaakov set up a pillar upon her grave, the same is the pillar of Rachel's grave, unto this day. And Israel journeyed and spread his tent beyond Migdal Eder. And it came to pass, while Israel dwelt in the land, that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard of it. Now the sons of Yaakov were 12. The sons of Leah, Reuben, Yaakov's firstborn, and Simeon, and Levi, and Judah, and Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel, Joseph, and Ben-Amin. And the sons of Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid, Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, Gad and Asher. These are the sons of Yaakov that were born to him in Padan Aram. And Yaakov sent unto Ishmael his father to Mamre, to Kiriath Arba, the same as Hebron, where Abraham and Ishmael sojourned. And the days of Ishmael were 180 years. And Ishmael expired and died, and was gathered unto his people, old and full of days. And Esau and Yaakov his sons buried him. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. In the last chapter, we had the story of the altercation that happened with Dinah, between Shechem and Dinah, and we found out there wound up being a little justice in it after all. But as we'll see, Shimeon and Levi made sure that But we're going to pick it up here in verse 1. It's probably around that same time period, we'll find out. They're going to get out of there and go back to Bethel for a while. I'm going to pick it up in verse 1. God said unto Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar unto God, who appeared unto you when you didst flee from the face of Esau your brother. So, we'll see now the Lord, this is Elohim, the powers that be, all the might and strength, and it's basically his common sense telling him to get up out of there. Rise, go up to Bethel. He was in great fear of the people in that area after Shimeon and Levi had destroyed Shechem. And God had told them to go to Bethel. Bethel was that house of the mighty one. We'll remember that as when Jacob went away from Esau. He had his vision or his dream there of that ladder that leads to heaven. And Lord told him to return to there and make there an altar unto God. And to create that altar there, altar is going to be a place to make atonement for what's happened. Who appeared unto you, and that's going to be this one who appeared, the Lord, Hashem, that's that presence of the name itself. The one that was there when he was fleeing from his brother. That's one of similar understand, Esau. Esau would be rough. That's the one Jacob had took up the birthright of. 2. Then Jacob said unto his household, and to all that were with him, Put away your strange gods that are among you, and purify yourselves, and change your garments. So now Jacob, that's the supplanter, he tells his whole household, and that's all of his children, all of his wives, his concubines, his servants, everybody. He's not leaving nobody out. Put away your strange gods. These strange gods are them foreign gods. We'll remember Rachel had hid one in her saddle, and she'd carried it out, and now it was, we'll find, spread out pretty well through the whole household, making it unpure, causing these problems, you know what I mean? Kind of what it does is you begin to assimilate with all these other people that worship these same not gods, and then what happens is this filth comes in, and that's why we'll see Jacob told him to purify yourselves or wash yourselves and change your garments. And these garments are going to be these things that cover you up or cover your nakedness, your understandings. We'll find out it's the same as the not gods. 3. And let us rise and go up to Bethel, and I will make there an altar unto God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and was with me in the way which I went. He said, and let us arise, or let us go up to Bethel. That's that house of the mighty one. That's where he came from before, where he will make there an altar, and that's going to be that where they'll slay. That's going to make atonement. We'll find out. The Lord had given this of the animals a long time ago to make atonement for their sins. And he's going. It says we'll make a altar to God, to the powers that be. This one who answered me in the day, or even in understanding of my distress. And that's when he had left his own house and was going into a foreign land there. We'll find out, to serve. 4. They gave unto Jacob all the foreign gods which were in their hand, and the rings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the terebinth, which was by Shechem. And they give all these foreign gods, these not gods, these idols, all those things they could see and hold in their hands. I mean, everybody probably carried one around in their pocket. But they give them to Jacob. He's the supplanter. All these that were in their hand, there was in their works. That's these rings which were in their ears. These rings are, the ring is what happens is when you serve, your ear was awed through. Take a spike and they put a ring in it, and this meant you was a servant. Here, these rings are going to represent these servants of these not gods. Their ring represent that which is a similitude of a everlasting, a continuous thing which goes in their ear or within their understanding. He takes all these things, he hides them under a terebinth. A terebinth is just a big tree, which was by Shechem. Shechem's that place they had just destroyed. Shechem means that shoulder, that place where the burdens carry. Don't go digging around. 5. And they journeyed. The terror of God was upon the cities that were round about them. They did not pursue after the sons of Yaakov. And they journeyed. They went on. And the terror of God, the terror of the Mighty One, was upon these cities that were round about them, or a fear was upon them. You might say all these other places that had a God, because they had put away these not gods. That was all around them. And they didn't pursue after these ones that come forth from Yaakov, the supplanter. 6. So Yaakov came to Luz, which is in the land of Canaan, the same as Bethel, he and all the people that were with him. So now Yaakov, that's the supplanter, he's going to come to Luz. And we remember Luz, that was the same as Bethel. It was what it was called before. Luz means something's growing there. It's in the land of Canaan. The land of Canaan is that land of humbleness, that land of humility. It's a lowland. The same as Bethel. Name is that house of the Mighty One, that back to that house of humility, where he had got some understanding from the beginning. He and all the people that were with him. 7. He built there an altar. He called the place El Bethel, because there God was revealed unto him when he fled from the face of his brother. So he builds an altar. That's a place to make atonement. Make atonement for, we'll see, they was already had strayed far, and this is a way to cause to return, basically, and that's what we get from it is that simulation of that returning. And he called the name of that place El Bethel, and El, that's the Mighty One, and there's strength in that house of the Mighty One, because there was God revealed to him, that there was that strength revealed unto him when he fled from his face of his brother. And we can go back and read that, what was happening there when he fled from the face of his brother. And that was those things that his brother made plain to him, even the one who had the similar understanding to him, that he was going to kill him for taking what was his. 8. Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died. She was buried below Bethel under the oak, and the name of it was called Elon Bakuth. So Deborah is a bee. Deborah is Debar is a spoken word. It's kind of like these words are said in order. You might say it's an orderly fashion of things, even speech. And this one was the nurse, or that one who would nurse or give from the breast to Rebekah. Rebekah was the one who was fettered by beauty. That was Ishiak's wife. And she died, and she was buried there below Bethel. Bethel is that house of the Mighty One, but she was buried there below it, beneath it, under the oak. An oak is a tree to give shade, shade, some rest. We can take some comfort. It blocks the sun if it gets too hot. And that's why they called the name of it Elon Bakuth. Elon Bakuth is simply that oak of weeping. Maybe it's just a big weeping willow. 9. God appeared unto Yaakov again when he came from Padan Aram, and blessed him. So God appears again as the strength of the mighty one. Appears or makes himself known again to the supplanter when he came from Padan Aram. That's that elevated place of the exalted ones, and he blessed him. And once again, he's showing that judgment to Jacob. 10. And God said unto him, Your name is Yaakov. Your name shall not be called any more Yaakov, but Israel shall be your name. He called his name Israel. And the Lord said, God, that's the mighty one here, these powers, the strengths, says unto him, Jacob, Your name is Yaakov, the supplanter. But your name, or your Shem, shall not be called any more Yaakov, the supplanter, but Israel shall be your name. And he called his name Israel. So he changes his Shem. He changes his presence, or that presence which he has, from this one who's supplanter. This one is always taken up that what is, not rightfully his, or it keeps getting handed to him. It's like he's going to have to take up that position. But Israel, we can be interpreted this one who will rule, have charge as God, or of the mighty one, or this one of the mighty ones got charge of. Anyway, we'll find out Israel is the one that's going to contend. He's going to be the one who's going to struggle with man and the strength, the powers of the Lord himself. Will find out to prove himself. 11. And God said unto him, I am God Almighty. Be fruitful, multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of you, and kings shall come out of your loins. And the Lord made himself known. He said, I am God Almighty. And that Almighty there is going to be Shaddai. It's one of the names. It's said Almighty. The Shaddai, to be burly, rough, powerful, great extreme power, with even the ability of destruction. He said, This is my name. That's who I am. Be fruitful, multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of you. The king shall come out of your loins. In other words, you're going to go forth. It's the same blessing that he gave Abraham, this father of many nations. These kings as those that are rulers, are going to come out of your loins, or come forth from you. As we'll find out, the Lord's plan to start a new beginning, or to make another example, is beginning to unfold. 12. And the land which I gave unto Abraham and Ishmael, to you will I give it, and to your seed after you will I give the land. And this land, a land is the ground. It's a ground, and it's also a place which the Lord gave to Abraham. That's and Ishmael. That's the father of many nations, the one that laughs. He says, now I will give it to you unto Israel. 13. And God went up from him in the place where he spoke with him. And the Lord went up, or left off, would be more like a better way to put this. The Lord left off from there, and from where he spoke to him there at Bethel, that's where he stopped speaking. We'll find out the prophets have mentioned that's where he spoke, and that's where he'll speak to us there when the speech returns. 14. And Yaakov set up a pillar in the place where he spoke with him, a pillar of stone, and he poured out a drink offering thereon, and he poured oil thereon. And Yaakov set up again a pillar. That's that marker. That's a little reminder. Works for Yaakov, but others may not have an understanding if they see it. But this place is to remind Yaakov where he spoke with him. a pillar of stone. That stone, that's what's firm, that what's going to be there a while, that original marker. He poured out a drink offering thereon. A drink offering is simply the liquid we would take in, that which nourishes or wettens, moistens, and gives the life of its understanding. I refer to it many times as he pours that out. That's to give up your understanding, and we'll find out he's going to pick up the understanding once again of the Mighty One. He pours oil thereon, and that's to anoint it, to make it prosperous in its way. Kind of a little mysticism with it. 15, and Yaakov called the name of the place where God spoke with him Bethel. And Jacob, Yaakov, the supplanter, calls the name, gives it the presence, the Shem of that place where he spoke, where God spoke with him. That's the powers of might, the strength, and we're going to remember, he's going to learn the lessons. He calls that place the house of the Mighty One, or the house, and we can just call it the schoolhouse. 16. And they journeyed from Bethel, and there was still some way to come to Ephrath. And Rachel travailed, and she had hard labor. And they left off from there. They journeyed from there, Bethel, and there was still a little ways to come to Ephrath. Ephrath is a fruitful place. Ephrath is a place that bears fruit, and Rachel travailed. She hadn't quite come fully, you might say, in her term. She had travailed. She had come into labor, and she had hard labor. It was of great pains. Rachel is that lost you. 17. And it came to pass, when she was in hard labor, that the midwife said unto her, Fear not, for this also is a son for you. And it comes to pass, as she was in hard labor, she was giving birth, that this midwife, a midwife is somebody who intercesses to aid in the birth of the child. She tells her to not have no fear, that there is one that comes forth from her, a masculine. 18. And it comes to pass, as her soul was departing, for she died, that she called his name Benoni, but his father called him Ben-Amin. So, as Rachel was breathing out, you can say this was with her last breath, her soul was departing, she called his name, or give him his Shem. It was Benoni, and that simply means son of my sorrow, or son of my wasting, she could say, as she was dying. But her father called him Ben-Amin, or Benjamin. That's the son of my right hand. We can say the son of my strength. 19. And Rachel died and was buried in the way to Ephrath. The same as Bethlehem. So Rachel dies. She breathes out, and we find with her last breath, she gives us this son of my right hand, as he will be known. He will be the last one born of Yaakov. And she was buried on the way to Ephrath, on the way to that place of fruitfulness. The same is this house, Beth Lachem. Lachem is bread, that house of bread. Bread's a little, is substance, for we find out, to nourish the flesh. It stands for these things that were already there, so to speak. 20. And Yaakov set up a pillar upon her grave, the same as the pillar of Rachel's grave unto this day. So Yaakov, that's the supplanter, he sets up a pillar. It's a marker upon her grave. That's where she was buried, and the same as that marker of Rachel's, that lost you's grave unto this day. 21. And Israel journeyed, spread his tent beyond Migdal-der. So Israel now this one who will contend with the mighty one, journeys, and he spreads his tent beyond Migdal Eder. That's the place where he's going to spread forth his tent, and that represents his house, and it's going to be beyond that place of Migdal Eder. That's that place, that tower. Migdal is a tower. Eder is a flock. 22, and it came to pass while Israel dwelt in the land, that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard of it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12, and it comes to pass in time, you might say, while Israel was dwelling in the land, living there, outworking there, that Reuben, that's going to be his eldest son, the one who sees a son, went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine. Bilhah's the one that's troubled. We'll find out she's got some insurity. She's not sure of self. And this one was from Reuben's father's house. His own concubine, the one, she was Rachel's handmaid, the one that did her pleasant work, that lost you. And this is something that ought not be done. We'll find out. This is where Reuben's going to lose his birthright. And Israel heard of it. It does come to his attention. We'll find out he's known to be slow to act. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. Now those that come forth from Jacob were 12. That would be the number of them. 12 means the law's witnessed. We find the witness comes last because there's redemption in it. 23. The sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn is Shimeon, Levi, Judah, and Issachar, and Zebulun. And these be the sons of the ones that come forth from Leah. Leah was the weary one. Weary. She was that feminine of weariness. Reuben would be her firstborn son. Jacob's firstborn. That's Jacob, the supplementer's firstborn. The one that would come forth first was the one to see the sun. That's Reuben. Shimeon would be to hear. Levi, the one who would night. Judah, the one who praises. Issachar, the one that carries as kind of like a reward. Zebulun is the one that habitates, or to have habitation. 24, the sons of Rachel, those that come forth from her. Once again, wife, that's a reflection of Yaakov, his understanding, this lost you. Joseph, that one that would add to, and Benjamin, the son of my strength, or the right hand. 25, the sons of Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid, Dan and Naphtali, and these would be the ones that would come forth from Bilhah. She is the trouble that she was Rachel's, that lost Jew's handmaid, or the one that would do her pleasant work, was Dan and Naphtali. Dan is the judge, or the judge, and Naphtali is the wrestlings, twistings. 26, the sons of Zilpah. Zilpah is to trickle, like faintly giving off. She was the one, Leah, the weary one's handmaid, and that's the one that would do her pleasant work, was Gad and Asher. Gad is the troop, or as in a host of like an army. Asher, the one that progresses, or the one of happy. We remember she was happy, but Asher is that one of to be correct. Asher is to be correct or straightforward, and these would be the ones that would come forth from Jacob, that supplanter. These were the ones that was born to him in Padan Aram. Padan Aram is that elevated place of the exalted ones, and all these would be born there except for Benjamin. 27. And Jacob came unto Ishiak his father to Mamre, to Kiriath Arba, the same as Hebron, where Abraham and Ishiak sojourned. And Jacob came unto Ishiak his father, that one that laughs, the one that gave birth to him, to Mamre. We remember that's where he pitched his tent, where Abraham had lived. Mamre is that place of vigor, place of strength. Kiryat Arba is Kiryat is a city. That's another name for the word city. It's the place of guard. Arba is four, and we'll get a little more reference to this later on. It's the city of four, the same as Hebron. Hebron means the association, or those that are associated together. This is where Abraham and Ishaq sojourned or lived. That's the father of many nations, and the one at the left. 28, in the days of Ishaq, and the days of Ishaq were 180 years. And the days, day is a cycle, night, day and light. The days is a total number of understandings of Ishaq. That one that laughs was 100. And that's the judgments. 80. Score's 20 years. This gives you a total of 80. 4 times 20 is 80. And that's most likely it would be written as 8 tens. 8 is a new beginning, or to do it again. This law would be the greater understandings of it, as we'll find out. That repetition, that repeating action, we've been hearing about. 29. And Ishaq expires and dies, and was gathered unto his people, old and full of days. Disha and Yaakov, his sons, buried him. And Ishaq expires. He breathes out, is basically the way it is. He gives up that breath, and he dies. Ishaq's the one that laughs. He's gathered unto his people, those of his kindred. Old, full of days, great in his understandings, you might say. And Esau and Jacob was buried, are the ones that buried him. Most likely in that cave there of Machpelah, Esau would be his. Esau and Yaakov are his sons. They're the ones that come forth from him. That's the rough one and the supplanter. And we're going to pick it up. Genesis 36. Return.